Rosa and Nani had their second gadgets released last week, and Jean and Frank are getting theirs this week. Hello fellow brawlers, I'm KairosTime, and it is time to brawl. For today's video, we're going to review Jean's, Frank's, Rosa's, and Nani's gadgets and star powers. After that, I'm going to talk about their best builds so that you know which are better to use to gain a competitive advantage. My last video was a similar video for the best builds for Terra, Tick, Poco, and Mr. P. So if you haven't watched that, make sure you guys check it out. And if you guys like Brawl Stars and watching videos about Brawl Stars, I would appreciate you guys subscribing to my channel since we are getting, well, kind of close to 700,000 subscribers. And if you really like watching Brawl Stars videos, I think you guys are going to enjoy today's sponsor. As you guys may know, my Brawl Stars account is fully maxed, which means that the only thing I can get from Brawl boxes is gold. Now, if you want to learn how much gold I'm able to get with 21 mega boxes, I actually have a video on that on Game On. By the way, thank you to Game On for sponsoring this video. Game On is a video sharing app designed by Amazon specifically for mobile gaming. Click on the link in the description below to download Game On Android if you're in the United States. And if you're not in the US or you don't have an Android, you can watch it on the Game On website. Now, Lex and I are actually doing a challenge on Game On for Duo Showdown where you can win up to $500 by submitting your own clips. Click the link below for more information, and thanks again to Amazon for sponsoring this video. Now we're going to start off with Jean's and Frank's abilities and their best builds since their second gadgets are releasing later this week. Jean's newest gadget is Vengeful Spirits. When Jean activates this ability, he shoots a homing missile at all visible enemies in a very large area. In fact, the range is about 1/3 of a tile shorter than Jean's attack at full range, and he has a long range. In other words, if Jean's attack can reach the enemy, there's a really good chance that this gadget will reach them too. On the flip side, if Jean cannot reach an enemy with his attack, you know that his gadget absolutely won't reach them either. Now, the damage that this ability does depends on how far away the projectiles have traveled. It deals a minimum of 320 damage close up and a maximum of 800 damage further away. The trick to this ability is how difficult it is to evade it. Brawlers do not have a fast enough movement speed in order for them to dodge the abilities unless they have some sort of like a jump or a dash. Now, even if the ability is activated at maximum range, the missile will still be able to home in on them, assuming, once again, they don't have a dash like Mortis or a jump like Edgar. With that said, the projectiles can be blocked by walls or even by other targets. Now, brawlers with spawnables can throw down their spawnable like Jesse's turret to protect them, but if they activate this before Jean activates the gadget, Jean will actually send an additional projectile out because it doesn't just target brawlers. But this ability will not activate on enemies that are hidden in by a bush or are invisible. Jean's original gadget is Lamp Blowout. When Jean uses this ability, enemies within a 2-tile radius are pushed back up to 3 tiles away from Jean. Additionally, Jean heals for 600 damage. This is a super useful ability for helping Jean in close situations like a bull popping out in the bush or an accidental El Primo pull. Now, one tip to remember is that it can be useful just for the 600 health in some situations, assuming the enemy does not have a close range threat on their team. Jean's first star power is Magic Puffs. With this ability equipped, Jean heals all friendly brawlers around him for 400 health per second. The range around him is pretty small, but this free healing is crazy good for Jean, especially when Jean is with a teammate and pulls an enemy toward them. Now, Jean's second star power is Spirit Slap. When he has this ability equipped, whenever his super is fully charged up, each of Jean's regular attacks deal an additional 300 damage. This allows Jean to take out over half of the brawlers in the game with one less ammo, which is significant. But the question is, what is Jean's best build? Honestly, I'm not too excited about Jean's newest gadget. It's not very good in a panic situation because close-up brawlers will take significantly less damage, and at maximum range, they'll just be able to hang around a wall so that they can block this slow-moving projectiles. I do think it will be useful, but I still think that Jean's Lamp Blowout gadget is currently better for Jean because of how often it can help Jean in a 1v1 situation. Now, as for Jean's star powers, he has 2 really good star powers that are difficult to choose from. If you're playing Solo Showdown, don't forget to always use his Spirit Slap star power selected because his other one is useless in his solo situation. But in any team-based game mode, I honestly think that Magic Puffs is the better option. Now, I've said this plenty of times about Jean's gadget, but you don't typically want to play close to your teammates. You typically want to play down 3 separate lanes. But when you do need to play close to them, or when Jean is pulling an enemy to Jean and a teammate, that extra 400 healing per second is incredibly useful, even if it's from a very short range from Jean. Also, Spirit Slap requires Jean to not use his super, which can absolutely have a negative impact on your team sometimes. And that's why I think think Jean's best build is his Lamp Blowout Gadget with his Magic Puffs star power. And of course, my personal favorite skin by a long shot, Evil Jean. Now let's talk about Frank's abilities and best build, and then we're going to talk about Rosa. Frank's newest gadget is Irresistible Attraction. After Frank activates this ability, his next attack also pulls enemies toward him. If they get hit by Frank's attack, they'll be pulled up to 3 tiles closer to Frank, which is actually a very long pull in comparison to most push or pull abilities. Not only does this ability allow Frank to bring enemies closer to him, making it easier for him to hit them with additional attacks, but it can also be useful to pull enemies away from the Brawl Ball, and it can even be used to disrupt enemies like another Frank winding up for a super, or even an 8-bit who's attacking with a super long attack powered by his extra credits gadget. Frank's original gadget is Active Noise Cancellation. This ability has 2 parts. First of all, it clears Frank from any disabling effects on himself, like slows or knockbacks. And one thing you might not know is that this is the only active ability in the game that can be used while you are stunned. This means that Frank can activate this to break free from a stun. Secondly, Frank becomes immune to slows, stuns, knockbacks, and pulls for the next 1.5 seconds, which can really be helpful when Frank wants to land that pivotal super. Frank's first star power is Power Grab. When Frank has this ability equipped, he increases his damage by 50% for 12 seconds after defeating an enemy brawler. This means that his attacks go from dealing 1,680 damage to a whole 2,520 damage for 12 seconds. If Frank gets another kill, that 12 seconds is refreshed. Now, in the right situation, this ability can lead to multiple kills in a row, which can absolutely win the game for Frank's team. Now, Frank's second star power is Sponge. With this star power equipped, Frank gains a permanent 1,100 additional health, which brings him up to a total 10,900 health. Frank is already the tankiest brawler in the game without this ability, so this is crazy. But what is Frank's best build? Now, this isn't the case for every brawler, but at least when it comes to Frank, I like to look at which abilities are always going to be useful versus which abilities are going to be useful sometimes. Frank's Active Noise Cancellation gadget is the better option if Frank is facing an enemy Shelly that can disrupt his super, or other brawlers like Shelly. But his newest Irresistible Attraction gadget is going to be useful no matter who he's facing, so I think that it is the better gadget overall. Frank's Power Grab star power is incredibly strong if Frank is going to be facing multiple enemies one after the other, but it requires Frank to be the one to get the finishing kill, and it is not permanently useful like his Sponge star power is, which is useful 100% of the time. Because of that, I think that this is Frank's best build. His new Irresistible Attraction gadget, his Sponge star power, and my personal favorite skin, Holiday Party Frank. Up next, let's talk about Rosa's abilities and best build, and then we'll talk about Nani. Rosa's newest gadget is Unfriendly Bushes. When Rosa activates this ability, all opponents hiding in bushes will be slowed down for 3 seconds, plus they'll take 100 damage. Honestly, the damage is nothing, and Rosa's rarely going to get a kill for it. It might happen sometime, but that'd be a pretty lucky kill. But it will prevent enemies from healing, and it will reveal their location. This ability has unlimited range, so it's incredibly helpful on maps with a ton of bush like Snake Prairie. In fact, using it in Showdown on Cavern Churn is a great way to force enemies to fight against each other because it will reveal everyone's location. Plus, if she's close to anybody, they're going to be slowed for 3 seconds and they will not be able to escape her. Rosa's original gadget is Grow Light. When Rosa activates this ability, she'll grow a 3x3 section of bush around her. This is a pretty simple ability that can turn the battle in Rosa's favor because the bush is where she typically thrives thanks to her first star power. Rosa's first star power is Plant Life. This ability makes it so that Rosa heals 200 health per second whenever she's hiding in a bush. This doesn't sound like a lot, but over the duration of an entire match, this can be game-changing. Plus, when she uses this in combination with her super, which reduces incoming damage by 70%, enemies have to deal the equivalent of 666 damage per second just to keep up with her healing. Next, we have Rosa's second star power, which is Thorny Gloves. With this star power equipped, Rosa's attacks deal an additional 220 damage per punch whenever she's shielded by her super, not to mention the fact that each attack deals 3 punches. So her super only lasts for 3 seconds, but that is plenty of time for her to unload 3 attacks that each deal 3 punches, which means that it increases Rosa's potential damage with 3 ammo by 1,900%. 580, which is a lot of extra damage. But what is Rosa's best build? I think it really comes down to which map you're playing. If the map is covered with bushes, Rosa's Unfriendly Bushes gadget is the clear winner. If there's not like a ton of bush, her Grow Light gadget might be better. However, it's not typically ideal to play Rosa on maps without a lot of bush, so I think that her newest Unfriendly Bushes gadget is likely to be the better gadget overall. As for her star powers, it's pretty much the same story. Her Plant Life star power is clearly the better star power on a maps with a decent amount of bush. Not even a ton of bush, just like enough bush for her to use it frequently. And her Thorny Glove star power is better on maps with few bushes. Now, I don't typically recommend playing Rosa on maps with few bushes, so I think that her better star power is Plant Life by a long way. And that is why I think that Rosa's best build is her newest Unfriendly Bushes gadget and her Plant Life star power, and of course, her only skin, Brawloween Rosa. Now it is time for Nani's abilities and her best build. Nani's newest gadget is Return to Sender. After Nani activates this gadget, the next time she takes damage, she will only take 20% of that damage, and the other 80% of the damage will be returned back to the enemy. And to be clear, the damage is returned to whatever dealt the damage. That means that if Nita's bear deals the damage, then the damage will be returned back to Nita's bear instead of Nita. Now, some brawlers like Shelly have attacks that actually deal damage with multiple projectiles. Even when you're up close, it's a bunch of small projectiles rather than one giant blast. Now, if Nani uses this ability versus a Shelly, only the damage from one of the projectiles will be returned and not the whole super. You can tell if Nani has her gadget activated because she'll have a glowing bubble around her, and that is a signal to not attack an enemy Nani with a high damaging attack, but to attack her when either you have a lot of health up, or to attack her with a brawler with ammo that is split up into multiple projectiles, or even attacks that deal low amounts of damage like Poco's attack. Now, there are a few ways to avoid damage with immunity though. Not just brawlers like Tick, who can be immune to damage, but also brawlers like Piper, who can jump into the air so that she does not take that damage. Otherwise though, the ability is pretty much guaranteed to land a hit, so you better watch out. Nani's original gadget is Warp Blast. When Nani activates this ability, she will teleport to wherever her remote controlled peep is at that moment. This gadget is pretty straightforward, but it is a lot of fun to use, especially because it can catch opponents off guard really easily. Nani's first star power is Autofocus. With this ability equipped, Nani's super will deal additional damage based on how far Peep has traveled before Peep hits them. It can deal an additional 2,500 damage for a total of 5,300 damage. For reference, that's enough to take out 29 of the 44 brawlers in one hit, which is insane. Nani's second star power is Tempered Steel. When Nani is using this star power, she takes 80% less damage while her super is flying around. This shield is insane value because Nani can fly her peep around for up to 10 seconds before it will explode. This means that the enemy has to deal the equivalent of 18,200 damage to Nani before that time is up if they want to take her out. This means that in the right situation, this ability absolutely can be useful. But what is Nani's best build? I honestly cannot remember the last time I played Nani's Warp Blast gadget all 3 times in a serious match. I don't think that her new gadget will provide as many epic moments like her Warp Blast gadget does, but I don't think that teleporting is useful nearly as often as her newest Return to Sender gadget. As for her star powers, once again, there are some pretty cool things you can do with Nani's Tempered Steel star power, but it doesn't happen very often. Plus, Nani can deal a ton of damage with her autofocus star power if you are skilled enough to land those hits. Overall, I think that this is Nani's best build. Her new Return to Sender gadget with her autofocus star power and my personal favorite skin, Sally Nani. Thank you guys so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to the channel for future Brawl Stars videos. Don't forget to use code Kairos in the Brawl Stars shop or you'll make me cry. Okay. If you don't want me to cry, you can actually use anybody's creator code, but I like using code Kairos. For now, guys, this is KairosTime ticking by, and we will see you in Brawl Stars.